Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Film Optics, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network, where we discuss film, TV, and everything pop culture related. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined by my good friend and my co-host, Devin. Devin, it is Thursday night. How's your week been so far? What have you been watching? What have you
It's last day of the week. I took tomorrow off. Got
did you?
Nice 4-day weekend coming up.
Nice.
So
congratulations.
It feels like Friday. It's a good day.
Yeah, man. You actually have a 4-day weekend. How does that feel?
Feels great.
Nice. I too have a 4-day weekend coming up, but mine is starting on Saturday and ending Tuesday.
Interesting.
Yeah. I got a few dental appointments to make on Tuesday. I'm like, well, I might as well, extend the weekend out just a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, memorialize it a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, like, come on, like this is for for the troops, of course, but we would not be here without them for sure. So we do hope that everyone out there does have a wonderful Memorial weekend for this weekend. And man, oh man, Devin, it's been crazy. What have you been watching so far? Before we get into the good stuff, I'm sure people will want to hear our thoughts. But we've been watching or playing anything fun, or just kind of hanging out?
Nothing new. I still have to watch MODOK. I'm about halfway through that, I think.
How many episodes is that?
I don't even know.
It's all right. Honestly, I'm assuming it's around 10. I haven't even started it myself. But you've been still playing some on Knockout City?
Oh yeah. We've been on the grind.
Been dominating over there.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
I've been trying. So do you play with mouse and keyboard, or do you play with the controller?
Yeah.
You do. Okay. Yeah, I'm slowly getting into it, but right now I'm actually on my big Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition grind. So I finished Mass Effect 1, heading on to 2. It's been a long time since I played Mass Effect 2 or 3. And so I'm kind of just, enjoying that for what it is. But yeah,
I remember playing the first one when it was first backwards compatible, and it sucked.
Yeah, okay. I will say, so obviously, if you have Xbox Game Pass, you can play the original trilogy because it is part of the EA Play, which is also a part of Game Pass, which I think is phenomenal. But clearly, the first one came out in 2007, so the combat is dated and it looks very, very dated. But the story is phenomenal. The Legendary Edition does a really nice job of touching up on it. I mean, the combat's, more or less the same. Like, they improved little things here or there. I am enjoying the Legendary Edition. I wish it was kind of low key, more of a remake than a remaster, because everyone's like, hey, how is Mass Effect? And it's like, well, it's how's the Legendary Edition? Like, well, it's Mass Effect. Like, it looks better, I will say, but overall, I do wish it was more of that remake ability. But it's still a great story. I'm actually planning on doing Andromeda after, because I've never played it before, and I've heard they've obviously worked out the bugs and kinks, and I know it gets a bad rap, but I do want to dive into that world, because we are getting another Mass Effect game at some point that EA kind of teased there. So hopefully they'll give all the reins to BioWare so they can just go all out. But yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on. But let's, before we begin into what we're really here for, before we begin today's show, of course, this is the Film Optics Podcast, again, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network. And you can listen to our podcast on platforms around the internet, and make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Film Optics. That is Optics with an X for all of our latest announcements. And of course, we are on YouTube as well. So, if you like more of the, seeing our pretty little faces, there's always that for you. We try to appease to all of the platforms out there. But Devin, today we are here to review A Quiet Place Part 2.
A year late.
Oh, a year later. Can you believe it? We were literally a week away from seeing this film before the pandemic hit. And we finally just got back from the theater. We're seeing it on Thursday night before its official release on Friday. getting it out there to the fans, all the listeners out there. And, you know, we're going to talk about it. And of course, we are going to go into we're going to go into a non-spoiler review first for those who haven't seen it yet. So you can kind of just get our first initial reactions and whatnot. Then we'll get into the nitty gritty of it all. So the nitty gritty, no, I can't make that joke. So, anyway, yeah. So once you hear this, that means we're going to go into spoilers, but not just yet. Let me read the synopsis here really quick and we'll dive straight in. So the story is as follows. Following the events at home, the Abbott family didn't know they had a last name, by the way. I'm assuming they did.
I didn't know his name was Lee.
I didn't know his name was Lee either. So, following the events at home, the Abbott family now faces the terrors of the outside world, forced to venture into the unknown. Sorry, that was a really bad pun. They realize that the creatures that hunt by sound are not the only threats lurking beyond the sand path. Of course, this is directed by John Krasinski, written by John Krasinski and Scott Beck, and cast Emily Blunt, Millicent, Simmonds, Cillian Murphy, and the one and only Noah Jupe. Yeah. Got to give my shout out to Noah really quick. And of course, this is in theaters as of now. You can only watch it in theaters. I believe it will be hitting Paramount Plus 45 days after its theatrical release. So by the time you're listening to this, of course, it's already out. So Devin, give me your initial reactions of A Quiet Place Part 2 without spoiling anything, of course, you know, for the listeners. We'll get into that in a little bit, but what are your thoughts?
I don't really know how to feel about this one, to be honest. You could see the quality. Obviously, John Krasinski's directing, so he knows what he's doing by now. You can see that he knows how to set up these scenes and these set pieces, but the story was a little lacking to me. The character development and the overall story development, especially for a sequel.
Okay. Continue.
I mean, we'll get into spoilers more later, but
yeah.
I definitely really liked the first half hour or so. It was amazing, I'd say. The action and everything. But as it goes on, there's just some unanswered questions.
Yeah, I do feel like there definitely is unanswered questions on that end. For the most part, I mean, starting off, you know, seeing it in theaters, amazing. I love the little John Krasinski message that we got right before. My entire theater was cheering. They're like, "Oh my God, it's Jim!" You know, everyone loves John Krasinski out there, and you know that really put me in the mood. I did get there a little bit earlier just to kind of catch all the trailers.
Did you get that nice message from Salma Hayek too?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah,
for sure. Saw the Jungle Cruise trailer for the first time, so that was kind of nice. I'm like, oh, you know, everyone's like, oh my God, is that Emily Blunt? I'm like, yeah, that's Emily Blunt.
They got to pass the blunt around.
Oh, for sure. Pass the blunt, pass the rock.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so my theater thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked this a lot. It kept me on my seat. There was a lot of jump scares, which is really, really good. I thought it was, I didn't know that John could carry on the story. I didn't really know what it was going to be. I didn't have any bad doubts about it or whatever. Cause I mean, this is John Krasinski that we're talking about, and it's going to decline that really quick. Sorry if that came through the audio. As I was saying, the story so far, I think he did it. He somehow expanded the small scope of a movie into a wider world. Of course, there are a few questions that I have with some of the people that they run into that seem a little bit short-lived, but that's okay. But yeah, I really did enjoy it. I was fearing for these characters, and now that, you know, we finally have more of a structure with this family, you know, the Abbott family. We have, Lee's name. I believe we knew Emily. I think they said Emily's name and Noah Jupe's character as well.
They are Evelyn and Marcus.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, but we didn't get the baby name. We did not get the baby name. I'm assuming it's going to be Lee because it is a boy. If they make a part 3,
apparently the daughter's name is Reagan.
Reagan. Okay. Yeah. You know what? I feel like I knew that, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, I really did enjoy it for what it was. Like I said, it did keep me on my toes. It exceeded my expectations of the first one. It definitely reminded me a little bit of the Last of Us series. You do see a little bit of a reflection there with, this post-apocalyptic world and, entire cities and whatnot are abandoned, but like there are survivors out there. They kind of dive into, just because you're surviving on your own doesn't necessarily mean everyone else is in the same boat as you. Some people can't be trusted. Some people can. And yeah, I just really, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I want to go back and see it again. I watched the first one a few days prior to kind of like put myself into the mood. And, it's just, it's like with The Last of Us Part 2, like like comparing it to Last of Us Part 1, like it is a smaller scale story and it ends on a cliffhanger. And so we have the A Quiet Place Part 1. I'm assuming that's people were calling it the first movie now. It ends on a cliffhanger. It's like, wow, like that was really, really good. It's like, I feel that I was okay and I was content with that story.
Well, there wasn't really a cliffhanger. It just kind of left it a little open, but it could have also been contained. Right.
Kind of like with Army of the Dead in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess what my point is comparing it to The Last of Us, like the ending was perfect as in there was a cliffhanger, but it's not like the story needed to go further. I was like, okay, like I would definitely enjoy second game if, there's a story to be told. And I feel like I was the same way with The Last of Us A Quiet Place Part 2. And yeah, like I said, he somehow expanded the story. It wasn't a cheap cash grab either, which was something I really appreciated. It seemed very, very well thought out. So those are my thoughts. 14 minutes into the podcast. But Devin, are you ready to get into the nitty gritty, the weeds, the potatoes, the cream of the crop?
Yes, let's step into a bear trap.
All right, everyone. So that is your spoiler warning. So that means we are going into spoilers. So, man, oh man, where to even begin? That cliffhanger at the end of part 2. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know about that ending. It just kind of
it was a triumph.
It just ended
of the human spirit.
How does it end on that?
Like, I was a little thrown off, and like
it just cuts to credits. Like what?
Well, I mean, so did the first one. The first one kind of
but it had like
we were getting to the good stuff, man.
Like it had an ending, like something like it had finality. This one is just like there's so much more that could happen, and
I think there will be. I definitely think that they're definitely going to make a part 3. I don't. You can't.
They were hesitant. They're hesitant to even make this one.
Yeah, they were.
Krasinski and Emily Blunt.
Yeah, I mean, well, because I can understand coming from the first to the second. It's like, okay, like how do we do this? How do we expand this world? How do we give these characters meaning and a purpose within this universe? And I mean, I do like that we finally have names for these characters. It's like, we just been calling Emily Blunt because that's who it is. John Krasinski, Noah Jupe. And,
we still will.
Yeah, we will for sure. But I'm glad that they are finally giving these people names and more of a backstory. Like it starts off like, of course, John Krasinski sneaks his way into his own movie.
Yeah, he had to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like I said before, the first like half hour or so is so good. Like the scene on the street where, but they showed that in the trailer. I kind of wish they didn't. The bus scene.
I do agree.
That was really intense.
Yeah, because that was like the first short clip that they showed, and I think that's just an issue with movies all around. Like they, like honestly, like subvert my expectations. Give me something in the trailer that's not actually in the movie, because like we've seen that with the Avengers movies, even with The Last of Us Part 2. Like if you watch all the trailers, there's a lot of tricks and there's a lot of things that like they show in the trailer that don't even happen in the game because they want to subvert your expectations. Which,
yeah, Marvel's masters at that.
Yeah, Marvel does it as well, and that's what I really like. And I wish all genre of films would start doing that, because it was kind of like, okay, I saw that part on Twitter or on YouTube, whatever. But like I did enjoy how we got the bigger scope of it, of course, with the full movie. But man, that bear trap, bro,
that definitely startled everyone. Like the pain, his screams were so good too.
Noah Jupe, man, I'm telling, he's coming for that Oscar one day. I don't know how old he is, but he's had a really good track record with, Quiet Place Part 1, this movie. He was in was it 4v Ferrari? He was also in Honey Boy. That's what I know him from. Honey Boy, he did a fan-freaking-tastic job. So he's building quite the resume for himself. Of course, we have Emily Blunt, John Krasinski. We know their track record, and also with Millicent. Is she deaf in real life, or is that, or hard of hearing?
Yeah, she is.
She is. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. But yeah, I really like, it goes back to this entire, like the sound, like they used, like the sound is like its own character.
Yeah. When they switch back and forth between her perspective and the outer world, it's so well done.
Yeah.
Because she can't hear anything, and it's like,
it's
makes it so much more intense.
Yeah. Cause it's like, she's literally in her own world. She's no clue what's going on. And even with the timer, with the watch timer, when they're inside the bunker, that you can only stay in there for, I'm assuming, around 10 to 15 minutes before they start to lose oxygen. But the only gripe that I really had was when Cillian Murphy's character, by the way, fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah, he was really cool. I like how they showed him in the beginning to kind of establish him at least a little bit.
Yeah,
and then he comes back later.
Yeah, I really like how he's not just like some random person, like, oh, I was there all the time. Like, and they address that, Emily Blunt's character. So it's like when she's talking to Cillian Murphy, she's like, did you know, all those nights, that we lit the fire, did you know it was Lee? Did you know it was John Lee, John Krasinski? And he said, yes. I really like how, because we see it in the first film. It's like, okay, there are clearly other people in this universe. So, let's go out and find them. And they finally kind of step out of their comfort zone, which makes sense because it's like, why would you venture out too far? And we kind of see that with the sand track when they finally reach the end. And it's like, okay, like, it's kind of reminds me like of not Hobbit, I'm sorry, the first Lord of the Rings movie where, you have Sam and Frodo, venturing outside of the Shire. And then Sam kind of like, Frodo kind of goes through the cornfield. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but then Sam kind of just stops and Frodo turns around. He's like, what's wrong? He's like, one more step. And, this is as far as I've ever been outside the Shire. Like, this is finally me taking the step into a larger world. And I felt like there was a lot of similarities there when they finally reached the end of their sand path. And it's like,
yeah.
Oh, let's go. And yeah, like kind of just venture off. And I don't know how far they were between each fire pit or like location, but it didn't seem super far, but it seemed far enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry, I've been rambling here. I'm curious to know your spoiler thoughts.
I guess one of the big issues I had was, do you remember when the first one came out and everyone saw it? Do you remember what everyone was saying, like what they would want in a sequel?
I do not remember, no.
From what I remember, everyone was just like, oh man, we got to find out what these monsters are and
That's
where
right.
they came from.
Yeah.
But this movie doesn't address that at all. Like, there's no development as to what these monsters are or where they came from. They are really just generic Demogorgons.
Yeah, kind of between Demogorgons and I would say like symbiotes, like Venom, Carnage in a way, because of the sound, because they're yeah.
But it's like they don't expand that lore or story at all.
Yeah,
that's one of the big issues I have.
I guess that issue didn't really bug me because I feel like they're just meant to be obscure as in like, hey, there is this threat. And it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, I mean, like, where, like, I'm trying to figure out where they would go with trying to, like, hey, where do these monsters come from? And it's like, it could just be one of those random supernatural worlds where, hey, it's just, there are outside threats out there. And, it just so happens that this meteorite was carrying these, bloodthirsty Demogorgon, Venom, symbiote type looking monsters. But I guess that didn't really bug me as much, but I can understand that being a concern for some people just because it's like, okay, like people kind of want to know by now where these monsters came from. But I feel like that would definitely divert from the story because like, yeah, they are the threat, but they're not like the main focus of the story. It's more the human characters.
Yeah, that's also what I was going to bring up there. As far as the human characters, there isn't really much character development. Like they all kind of stay the same in the sequel.
Yeah.
They don't really have any growth.
Well, the two kids, I'm just saying, bro, they were, woo! That was so nice.
They made me hate Noah Jupe's character.
Really? Oh,
yes.
he was a scaredy cat in the first one.
But what was he doing when he got out and left the baby in the vault? They didn't even show what he was doing. He just got up and walked around. What's it for? No one knows.
More of like a curious mind, I suppose.
But why? I don't understand that part at all.
I thought he was going to like find something like really messed up. Like I thought
he did find the dead body.
Yeah. For like a second, I thought Cillian Murphy's character was like a low-key cannibal.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
But I was like, oh no.
But I don't understand what he was even doing. It just made him like dumb. Like, what is he, 15 years old? Like, come on, guy. You should know better.
Yeah, we don't really know how old they are. It's again baby's name. I'm assuming like,
he's like on one foot, like climbing
ladders,
going up to the roof.
I still can't get over that bear claw thing. I was like, okay, he is.
That was the nail of this movie.
Woo! Man, oh man, that was crazy.
They brought the nail back too.
They did, yeah. I was looking, like, where's the nail? What? And the rocket ship, of course. They kind of go back to the pharmacy a little bit, and their youngest son's gravesite as well. And I really like how she kind of had like the symbolism of like she wasn't really hung up like on her husband. Like obviously she misses him, but her taking off her wedding ring is more of like. That's in the past. I can't really carry that with me because if I do, it's just going to be probably just more of a burden for her. And she probably wouldn't be able to, do the things she did. I was like, okay, like the shotguns and whatnot. But I really wanted to talk about, the older sisters, Millicent's character. I'm blanking on her character name. But I thought she did a fantastic job. The relationship between her and Cillian Murphy, that definitely gave me Joel and Ellie vibes from The Last of Us. I'm sorry if I keep bringing it up. It's just, it was there. It's like, honestly, now seeing this, I'm like, okay, I know that Pedro Pascal is cast as Joel. But I'm like, I like low key kind of want Cillian Murphy now.
Cillian Murphy is just good in everything.
Yeah. I mean, David, the Brits know how to act. Like, Noah Jupe, he's British as well.
I don't really love Emily Blunt's English American accent. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's kind of like.
She's just like, run.
And like for some, it's hard to kind of mask. But hey, they mask it better than most. Like even with, well, I would say probably the only like American actor that I know who could do like a like decent like English accent would probably be Emma Stone. But with oh my gosh, Emma Watson in the latest oh my gosh, in the latest Little Women, she has an American accent, but it's like it kind of her British accent kind of breaks through a little bit. It's like it's okay, Emma. Like it's totally fine. But yeah, like it kind of takes you out of a little bit. But I mean, she didn't have a lot of speaking lines, but her motions through acting, without a lot of dialogue, still hit for me. And like I definitely think Cillian Murphy and Millicent were two stars of the show. And then we had oh my gosh, what was his name? The black guy. He was in it as
Jimon Hunsu.
Yeah, that is one gripe I had. I wish she would have had more of a story or like, backstory, because like they finally find this settlement where they're just, just talking.
Whatever. Yeah, it's similar with the Cillian's character, where we understand that he had a family and that they aren't with him, but we never met them, so we aren't attached to them at all.
Yeah, but like I was still attached to Cillian because like you can definitely see that it's bugging him, and like when you first meet him, he is more of like this, all hope is lost. It's just a matter of survival. Like his kids were taken, and then I think he said his wife was taken like 11 weeks prior to Emily and them being meeting up and whatnot. So you can definitely see that he does care for his family, and that like he is a broken man, but like obviously it's not super super deep. But like it is more service level. But yeah, I thought he did a good job. But yeah, black guy, I was like, like he was good, and like they kind of plant the seeds where
it just kind of felt rushed, like everything on that island.
Yeah, I mean, like the entire story was like what, around an hour 30 minutes. It's around
hour 37.
Yeah, hour 37. So like maybe a little bit longer, around the same as the first one.
Yeah, the first one was an hour and a half.
Yeah,
but this one felt shorter for some reason.
For me, it did feel shorter because I did watch the first one like literally like a few days before.
I think a lot of it's because with the first one, no one knew what to expect really, because it was such a new concept. Mm-hmm. But for this one, going in, you kind of know the rules and what to expect. So there's not as many surprises.
Also, they cannot be killed by fire.
Apparently.
I was like, oh, okay.
They don't like water.
That was freaking awesome. Yeah, the fact that they can't swim, I'd rather that be a second weakness more than, you can just kill them with fire, because that's so much easier. I do like how they can't necessarily swim. I know we saw that one like in the basement from the first one. I was like, okay, that's not really as deep of water, and it was more of them just kind of like going under, like okay, like that was more shallow water, like, but the boat scene, like I love it.
I was just gonna bring that up because that is a weird one to me, because it's like you have these characters. Obviously, in an apocalypse world, there's going to be people that they're going to turn bad, and like Cillian's character mentions, there's people that aren't worth saving because the world has turned them into terrible people, and they're on this marina with all these boats, and these people come up to them, but because nobody can talk, it's just kind of an awkward scene, because they look vaguely creepy, but we don't really know anything about them or what their motive is.
I think that's what I liked about it, the fact that they couldn't necessarily speak with dialogue because of the monsters. But like, and again, like, that does introduce quote unquote new characters, but wasn't too much of a death. But I really like how, Emily and Noah and then Cillian and Millicent were all split up, and they kept.
I love how they kept switching back and forth between their perspectives, and then it would be like someone's turning a corner, and it would switch to the other character.
Great editing, like that's where I liked that. I was like, okay, I think that's really what kind of wrote me in. I'm like, okay, like even in the first one, they are separated, like the family separated, and of course something's going to happen. But it's like with this, with Millicent's character, she wants to. They find the record that's been playing nonstop in the studio, and it was like down by the shore, which was kind of clever, saying, hey, like there is quote unquote refuge here, but then a monster kind of just comes through and like pillages the entire. I was like, ooh, Cillian's like, run! I was like, oh, here we go. Man, oh man. I really like the monsters. Like, I love their appearance and whatnot. Like, there's a few things you can kind of guess, like, okay, the one's kind of probably going to show up here, but like, it was still like, I feared for these characters' lives. And I think that's the main thing that I really cared about.
It feels like I've just seen these monsters so many times before, though. Stranger Things, especially. Yeah, and but like I really like how there wasn't like more of like an 80s vibe. It was just, it is its own story. But
well, I guess between the two, which one do you like more? I'm assuming.
I'm sure you can tell.
Yeah,
definitely the first one.
I'm kind of torn. I can't necessarily. I don't know if I can really put one above the other now because I've seen both, and it's like, well,
is there anything this one does better than the first one?
For me, I think it is the danger, the situation, the danger that that the characters get themselves into. I mean, obviously, yeah, like Noah Jupe's character having more of a curious mind, and I can kind of understand him looking around because he was afraid that after his mother leaving, and she's like, like, just breathe, like you have everything you need, and he's like, okay, yeah, I know that, but him snooping around.
What was he looking for? I don't understand.
I mean, like, I guess because they were only in really like one part of the bunker. You kind of want to like know your surroundings. You know what I mean? Like in a way, but I mean, I guess you can view that as like a positive or a negative, or like, or I can see why people will cause it for concern. But yeah, but like what I really like about this is the situations that these characters were put in. And, figuring out how they were going to get out of it. And it's like, I mean, even the boat scene, like, yeah, like
I did like how he got out of that a lot.
Yeah, that was awesome. And it
was kind of a stretch to where they used the dive thing again, because
I thought that was clever.
You don't really dive for home in baseball. That's just me nitpicking, but
okay, yeah.
You slide home, but
okay, slide dive. Look, diving can lead in the slide.
It was cool that they reused it.
Yeah, I really like it because I didn't even think about him. Like, I guess like all the signs were there because when he's first trying to communicate with her, she like holds his face and she's like, enunciate, so I can understand what you're saying. And it's like,
I really love that escape where he wraps all this stuff around the bad guy and then stabs his leg and then jumps. Like, that was really cool. Like,
he was
1-2 punch.
He was like, over here. He was like, dip. He's like, you're about to get yoinked, son. But yeah, like I said, I think it is the situations. I think that the characters are put in.
I would argue that the first one did better, especially because one of their kids dies in the first one.
Oh, for sure. I mean, R.I.P. Like 100%. Like I still feel bad. I'm like, dude, like,
yeah, got
snatched. I was like, ugh. But so many kids have been killed in this world, and they kind of plant seeds where, when Millicent and Cillian are in the town, when the monster is coming by, they put the two kids like under, like in that little closet space. So it's like, what kind of happened to them as well? So like, as much as I love the movie, like I do have issues with it 100%. One of the other issues I would say is I do wish it was longer, but I don't want it to be too
that ending was just way too abrupt.
But like at first I was kind of shocked that it just ended.
I like the scene, but I don't like it ending on that.
It kind of did give me a little bit of Stranger Things vibe, especially like from the first season of Stranger Things, where 11 kind of like finally like uses her powers to defeat one of the Demogorgons. But it's kind of like, like how would you make these monsters? Like I'm fine with them being generic because it's like, I guess they are quote unquote unique enough to that story where it's like, if I'm talking about A Quiet Place to someone, like I know exactly what the monsters look like. They're not just like some green, like, some generic blob. But it would be kind of cool if some of them could fly. Like I was kind of thinking about that. That would put in some interesting, new situations, but I think
as far as the ending goes, it's just like, one of my biggest pet peeves in a movie is when they end it thinking that they're going to get a sequel.
A lot of movies do that nowadays.
It feels like this one did that because the first one, it ended with the ability to have a sequel, but it also was like it had finality. This one is just like everything is still wide open. Yeah. They didn't really close out anything.
I think
every character is still in danger.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's exactly where the first one left off. They were still quote unquote in danger. I do like,
but there was like some like, okay, they survived at least for now.
Yeah.
For this one, it's just like we don't know anything.
Yeah. I think I don't even know if he was going into thinking like there is going to be a third one, but like clearly as of now, like there kind of has to be, but I don't know if I really want it to come as soon as people might think. Like it needs to be long and hard for this next one, but it's kind of like, I don't want to say they dug themselves into a ditch, but it's like, I mean, if they don't do another one, it kind of loses a little bit of a sour taste, because it's like, okay, well, like if you're going to make a second one, you know, part 1, part 2, just end the story at the second one, but there definitely has to be a third one. But I think so far, I'm like, this is like probably one of my favorite like thriller, suspense movies that like I would definitely go back and watch. Like I'm definitely going to pick this up when it comes out on Blu-ray. Like absolutely. So I don't know. But yeah, like I do hear your concerns for sure. I do wish, you know, besides Cillian's character, the others, I felt like they kind of went a little bit deeper, and that kind of just goes back to I wish it was a little bit longer. But at the same time, I didn't want it to be too long where it's just more of the same kind of. And it's like, I mean, I do think this was a really great movie. If I had to choose, I guess it would be like maybe like maybe like a point or two higher than the second one, because I do love how they got out of the certain situations they were in. Like I was fearing more for the characters this time around than the first, I feel like. But you know, that's because, you know, John Krasinski was there to protect them all and whatnot. But you know, he's gone, and this family is hurting, and you know, I'm curious to see where the story goes for sure. But was there anything else you wanted to mention? I feel like we've covered everything. We've been going for about 40 minutes, so
yeah, I think we got it all.
Yeah, for sure. So,
I was also curious how in the beginning John Krasinski's character knew to be quiet. Well, that was something I was questioning as well.
I mean, it's kind of like,
because in that situation, everyone's just going to be panicking and not knowing what to do and freaking out.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say, oh, you know, you can see every single time they make a noise, but it's like, even when you are in that situation, like, even if they could hear, like, I will just want to be quiet as possible so they don't quote unquote hear me. So it's like just more of a matter of survival, where it's like, okay, you know, like, let me silence myself.
I like how that guy was praying and John was just like, nah, just stop.
And then the phone went off. I'm like, shit.
Of course.
Like loud as can be. But I really like again, you know, the way that they used sound in this was fantastic. And even when Emily Blunt, you know, again with the gun in the fire, like it really kind of put into perspective how sensitive their ears are when, you know, they're listening and the water sprinklers are coming down. Like to us, it's like, oh, you know, like it's you can still hear, but to them, it's like noise is so sensitive to where I was like, wow, it sounds like a waterfall in a way. And that kind of goes back to, you know, making a larger sound so that you can talk, so that they can hear, you know, be distracted by that, besides your own. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I really did enjoy it. But let's get into our ratings here, Devin. I'm going to give this one, I'm going to give it a solid A-, just because, you know, we have talked about both of our issues. You know, the film is, you know, nowhere near perfect. No film is, unless it's Lord of the Rings. Thank you very much. But yeah, like I really did enjoy it. You know, I love how he did expand the universe. I didn't know it was going to go this far, and I like the ending. I think going forward, obviously, you know, with the two kids, they are, you know, a part of the story, but I think next time it might be a few years down the road, and they're kind of, you know, taking the helm and whatnot, because it's, can't really say it's like a coming of age story, but like they definitely had their moments. Like I really like the duality between both of, you know, how Millicent like indirectly helped, you know, her brother escape kind of the same situation they were both in with the gun, and then with the kind of the spear-esque kind of thing. I really didn't.
My whole theater was yelling at him at the end when the sound started happening. They were like, play it.
Play it. He was like, oh. Yeah, man. Ooh, man, that bear trap. Jesus. I was like,
Yeah.
That killed me. But what about you?
I'm gonna have to go with like a C.
Devin.
I mean, I laid out so many issues there for me.
I'm just kidding.
I just didn't think they expanded on the characters or the story enough, and then that ending really didn't do it for me.
I got you. Yeah,
But overall, like I still enjoyed myself. You can tell it's like quality made and everything. But
yeah, it wasn't like cheap. And that's like if it was cheap, I wouldn't be like, okay, this is
like
a waste.
You can tell it would have been different if everyone didn't come back. Like
yeah. I can definitely see that, and it was definitely time well spent in the theaters, and I definitely think everyone should go see it. You know, form your own opinions. You know, sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't, and like that film is completely subjective, even when it comes to TV. Devin liked Falcon and Winter Soldier a little bit more than I did. I wasn't super crazy about it, so it's like, you know, don't let others kind of like form your own opinion, because even with me, I was like, okay, like I didn't want to read anyone's review because I did want to go into it blind, and it was like I just felt so scared for them. I was like, oh my god, this is so stressful, like very, very stressful. But yeah, so solid C from Devin, A- from myself. This will probably make it into my top 5 of the movies thus far. Definitely not number 1, but I would probably put this at like maybe 4 or 5 for sure, because nothing's touching Billie Eilish right now. that documentary was so freaking good. And Mitchell vs. the Machine, of course, absolutely loved it. But yeah, that pretty much concludes our review of the last. Oh my god!
Wow!
Anytime I hear part 2, anyways, that concludes our review of A Quiet Place Part 2. Definitely go check this out in theaters. Again, you know, if you're not comfortable with seeing this in theaters, you know, you can wait about 45 days and it should be on Paramount Plus. You just got to sign up for that. So that'll be pretty cool.
You'll have about a tenth of viewing experience.
Yeah. Did you see this in Dolby, by the way?
Of course.
I did not, only because our Dolby Theater is about an hour away. And I was like, yeah, I'm not driving that far. I probably would have gotten back, not like right now, but like, what time did the movie end? Around like 8:30. I probably would have gotten back around like 9:30 just because, but I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, so we have a little bit of a wrap up here before we close out. What's coming up on the pod, Devin? What are we talking about next week? We don't know. We do have Loki coming up when that drops on June 9th. So definitely take care of that. May or may not be getting screeners for the first episode. So we'll just have to wait and see. In the Heights, don't know if we're getting screeners for that or not. So again, that's all up in the air. We'll have something next week, even if it's just news, even if we're not recording anything. Maybe we can do MODOK. I really don't know. I think there's a movie on Hulu that's pretty interesting. So it's like, I don't know. Wow, someone literally just tweeted. They said A Quiet Place Part 2 is exactly what Last of Us 2 should have been. What a beautiful movie. Go and see A Quiet Place Part 2. Okay, I don't agree with that, because if I'm comparing the stories between A Quiet Place Part 2 and Last of Us Part 2, The Last of Us Part 2 was definitely freaking amazing. But Devin hasn't played that far into it yet, but I think way more of a powerful impact than A Quiet Place Part 2. I do not agree with that statement whatsoever. Just want to throw that out there for my 2 cents, since that I kind of already compared the two. But yeah, so anyway, we do have, right before we close up here, just wanted to mention a few Music City Drive-In articles that we have up. I've been writing a lot this week, Devin, so my Cruella review is up and ready on the Music City Drive-In website. That's at musiccitydrivein.com. Devin, do you plan on watching that?
I might.
I suggest that you do. It's about 2 hours and 20 minutes, but I liked it a lot. Like it is my favorite live action Disney property to date, and it kind of has those like Devil Will Prada vibes as well. But like it's very good. Like between A Quiet Place Part 2 and Cruella, like if you have the time to see both this weekend, definitely do, because they're definitely both worth a watch. And also, I also have my Xbox E3, my top 5 Xbox E3 predictions, because they announced this week that their showcase will be Sunday, June 13th during E3 in their own in their own theater, their own venue, excuse me. And also my Horizon Zero Dawn 2 Forbidden West state of play review is up. I kind of dropped that earlier today. Again, that's all over at the Music City Drive-In website. That's at musiccitydrivein.com. And also, really quick, we are looking for writers. If you want to get in touch with them, just follow them at MCDI Pod. Shoot them a message. If, we're always looking for writers for sports, music, gaming, the whole nine, Oscar talks, TV shows, movie reviews, all that jazz. So definitely go check out the material that they have over there. They've been writing a lot of great stuff. Being part of the writing team has been really, really fun, helping me hone my skills in. So I'll definitely be writing a lot more, especially with E3 coming up. So that's a lot of fun. And don't forget,
maybe I should pick up the old pen.
If you want to, honestly, dude, like some people really think that it's like, oh, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't feel like writing all these paragraphs. It's like, dude, my reviews are between like 2 to 3 paragraphs. Like if that, like, I mean, obviously if I really enjoy the movie or whatever I'm talking about, it's going to be around 3 paragraphs, or even if I didn't really like it, it just depends on what I have to say, but it's definitely helping me out with all that. So yeah, go check out musiccitydrivein.com for all of that jazz. And of course, make sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps with our placements. We're trying to, just up our game here and, give everyone the content that they deserve, because we love you guys so much. And we hope you all have a happy Memorial Day weekend. So let's close out here. And that's a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you for listening. And make sure to check out the other shows over on musiccitydrivein.com and subscribe to our show so you never miss an episode. That was Devin. My name is Christian. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace. And quiet.